Hey everyone, my name is Airon and I am a manager of product marketing here at BigCommerce. I hope that you come away from this part one of my two-part series with some things that you'll keep in mind as you're developing your product, your new features, enhancements, and other things that you'll do to bring to customers on the BigCommerce platform. But let's start off with the customer journey. So the customer journey is super complicated if you haven't really fully thought it out. So you start off in awareness, and this is a little bit marketing, but I'm going to share this with all of you in case you haven't thought about how what you develop, what you create, what you're hacking together comes to the market. So you're building out this new product or a new feature, an enhancement, and you want somebody to use it, right? You want somebody to pay for it so that you're making money off of it and continuing to iterate and continuing to build upon your product. So when you think about what you're building, think about what the customer is going to experience. How are they learning about your product? There's some level of awareness. Of course, press releases, radio and TV, a little bit data, a little bit old now in the age of social media and our cell phones in our hands at all hours of the day and night. Instagram, social media, of course, is a great way to get your product out there. I know lots of folks get onto Reddit and talk all the time about all different things. So Reddit's a great place that we also post a lot of our updates as well and get lots of feedback. Online ads is another one. Online, we're inundated on Facebook. You say something in one room and next thing you know, your Facebook feed is populated with the latest tennis shoes that you're looking at or headphones or whatever. Facebook is always listening, apparently. It's a good place to have your products promoted. Then there's consideration. So customers think about where they're going to spend their dollars, especially now as the pandemic is turning into something else. It's evolving. And, the economy here in the US has taken some challenges. And of course, globally, the pandemic has impacted everyone. And consideration for pricing is something that customers, our merchants, and their customers have to think about. Where are they going to spend their money? Where are they going to get the most value? So they take a look at blogs, at reviews. Reviews are super big on if something works properly, if there's proper support, if it's worth the money that is being spent, and if someone actually is having a good or bad experience. And that takes them into that purchase cycle. Are they going to give over their credit card information? And is their credit card information going to be secure? That's a really big deal in this day and age with lots of hackers out there who want your money. So make sure that if you are taking money from someone, that you have a secure transaction. Make sure that you have PCI compliance, which the BigCommerce platform does offer to merchants. Make sure that their transactions are going to be covered and payment gateways are going to be secure. And then you get into, where are you going to sell your product? How is somebody going to buy it? How do they get you that money to get their product and start using it? Once they have that in mind, then you have to retain them. So are you constantly iterating? Are you providing support? Are you giving them new features? Are there updates that they have to go through, and how easy are they to install? And then finally, you get into advocacy. We go back to that social media play where, most people talk about a bad experience at a restaurant or someplace that they've been. You don't always hear about the positive experience at the airport. You hear about people waiting for 4 hours in security or their flights being canceled. You don't hear about, hey, I got on my flight and it was amazing. But social media and that word of mouth is a really great way to have people who are going to evangelize your product and to really get your name out there in the most positive way possible. So I only have a couple of slides to share with you all because I want this to be easy for you to just read and consume and listen. Close your eyes if you'd like to sit back. I'm going to go through a couple of ideas, a couple of things that you can keep in mind when you are building out your product. And it doesn't have to be just for this hackathon. It's for the future state, things that you're building, and you might already be considering these things and you might not be, but let's get into it. So really, when you're building out your project, your product, your features, your enhancements, or you come up with this little spark of an idea, think about your end user. This is who you're actually building for. Now, of course, you're building in a great way that you can update, that you can teach your fellow team members and your peers to update and to maintain. You want to make a great product so that you can sell it and make lots and lots of money and retire in your dream destination of choice. In order to do those things, you have to start with your ideation phase. So you're discovering, you have this spark in mind, and you need to come up with your ideal user. So who are they? What does their profile look like? What pain points do they have that your product is going to solve for them? Are you saving them time? Are you saving them money? Are you saving them extra clicks? You know, customers these days really want something that is going to help them do more with less. Folks aren't always working, or maybe they are a small business or a medium-sized business that is growing exponentially on the outside, but there's still maybe a 1, 2, 3 person shop on the inside of their business, and they don't have the time and the resources to spend on heavy maintenance, creating new things all the time. So having them easy to follow workflow, help save them clicks, are those pain points that they're trying to solve, and can you solve them with your product? And when will they use this? That's another really good question. Is this something that they're going to use hourly or daily? Do you expect them to just get it going one time and they'll never use it again, and only have updates when you need to have them redo installations? You know, when is they're going to use this in their daily lives? And that should give you an indication of, you know, maybe prioritization of the projects that you're working on. If somebody is going to use this on a frequent basis, then they're likely going to go into your product, possibly give you lots of feedback on it, and help you to iterate and to plan in the future. How are they going to accomplish the tasks at hand? So do they need to upload a new file? Do they need to modify that file? Are they going to run an API to post updates? What exactly are the tasks that the customer is going to have to go through to accomplish whatever product you're trying to solve, whatever pain point you're trying to solve with your product? And then finally, this is a little bit of a competitive intelligence play here. Is there someone else that is doing this today? Have somebody else solve for this, and you have a better way or more streamlined way for this pain point to be solved? You need to take a look at the larger perspective for the types of products that you're building, so that you can understand maybe what types of features are most important, or if you have used a feature of a product and it just doesn't quite deliver, well, there you go. You know, you want to make something similar, but enhance it in such a way that it does make an impact. So once you have your ideation phase completed, then you want to get into planning. So of course, you're going to plan all your technical aspects of it. And I'm not going to go into that because you all are the experts and I am not. But some things that you want to consider when you're planning things out for your end user. How easy is it to set up, and how easy is it to install? Do the merchant or a customer go and do they just click one button and it's going to install easily for them? Or are there going to be several steps that they have to go through? Intuitive workflow is also a really important thing. Customers that I have spoken with, and in the market research that the product marketing team here at BigCommerce has done, we've discovered that, you know, customers just want something to work well and be easy. They want things to be intuitive. They want to know that once they click a few buttons and make some changes, that they're just going to scroll down and hit save. If that's what you're trying to have them do, you know, make sure that the workflows that you're building out are going to be intuitive and easy for someone to follow. However, there might be a time where you have to come in on a daily basis and make changes. So whatever that case might be, you want to make sure that there's a clear expectation set that tells a customer, this is something you're going to interact with on a daily basis, or, hey, look, this is going to simplify your life and make it so much easier. Set it and forget it, and don't have to worry about doing anything in the future. And then support. Support is huge for customer retention. If something goes wrong, or a customer doesn't quite understand a step, or maybe they missed something and they can't figure out why something is not working within your product, support for that is going to be really big. Now, I understand that some of you may be just a one-person team, and that's totally fine, but make sure that there's a way that somebody, if you're having them test or use your product, that they can reach out. Do you have a Discord server that they can post questions in, an online forum? Are you going to have an email address that they can send questions to? And then also set clear expectations about how quickly you'll get back with them. You know, as I mentioned before, people talk about negative experiences, and there is nothing faster that gets on the internet than somebody having a negative experience. You want to make sure that you are hedging all of your bets and having a positive experience for supporting your product up front, and having clear expectations. Now, I work a lot with our teams in Kiev as well as in Sydney, Australia, and we have a turnaround of 24 hours because of the time difference from Texas to the Ukraine to Australia. So we go into a lot of projects in mind with asynchronous work, as well as, hey, I have a question, and I know if it's not a super important burning question, they'll get back with me within 24 to 48 hours. And it's just our standard level of service that we have agreed to. And we let our customers know as well. You know, we are a global company. your support will be global. So make sure that you have those kinds of things set up and kept in mind when you're creating your support for your product. So now you have created your product, you've planned it out. Next comes testing. Now, testing is super huge in many, many organizations. Some companies go through beta testing. I personally love beta testing. I participate in beta tests all the time, and I like to give feedback because, you know, sometimes developers and engineers get so excited about their product. They just want to see it out there. They want to see their little baby bird leave the nest. And so do I. But we want to make sure that that baby bird can flap its wings first. We want to make sure that the testing and your QA is complete before we're pushing it out the door. So some of the questions that I always ask during a beta test when I'm either testing myself or helping to run a beta test is, you know, does it work as intended? That's a pretty obvious question, but sometimes we forget that one. What changes can you make to improve? So as you go through this beta test, whether it's, you know, a week long or month long or even longer than that, think about what you can do to improve the experience. Can you stretch yourself just a little bit longer? Could you push out your launch timeline just a little bit longer? Now, of course, we are in a 12-day hackathon, so you have a very finite amount of time, but you know, there is chance for iteration on your project from day 1 to day, you know, 10 or 11, hopefully not down to the last hour. You might discover new use cases. So we are confronted all the time with lots of clever and creative people who say, hey, I'm going to leverage your UI or your API in this new and unique way. And we come up with a new use case. Sometimes we have to make changes because we didn't think about a use case and we have to add new fields or make a modification into the UI or to the workflow as a user experience dictates. But it's a good opportunity before we're putting this out there for mass consumption or mass use that you can identify additional use cases that you may not have thought about before. Also allows you to plan for updates and versioning. You can put out an MVP and that's totally fine. Just have a plan for what you're going to do and when you're going to put out new updates to that. An MVP is an awesome way to get started and get feedback. Then in a month or two, plan for more. And that also keeps customers coming back for more and more as you build out that new product, add enhancements, add new features. So I'm always a fan of going through testing and then have a small test again phase right before you have your go, no go. Say, hey, let's double check. Let's see what feedback we might be able to incorporate from our testers. Might be something easy to be done. You can iterate on your current release. As I mentioned, maybe in this hackathon, you don't have that much time, but in the future, you can iterate on the current release, that MVP, maybe you push it a little bit further. You can add a couple of things and iterate on it or plan for the next release that you're going to do and have a small test phase there just to make sure that that new release, that small update is going to work as you intended and won't break all the hard work that you've already done. Again, this helps you to plan for your future product releases as well as your go-to-market planning. Now, I know you may not be a product marketer like myself. You are building out your product and your features, but you also have to think about how are you going to get this to your customers? Who are your customers that we identified at the beginning? And maybe your customer user profile has changed or it has morphed or it has grown. Think about how you're going to get your product out to your customers, to get folks to look at it, to get excited and engaged with it. And that's where go-to-market planning comes in. So all of the work that you did in planning with your documentation, establishing your support line, of, you know, if you're going to email or have someone that can call you, you did all of your testing, you built out some use cases. You might even have customers that say, this is amazing. Sure, use my quote in some of your materials. Then you want to have all of that incorporated into go-to-market planning. You might even have it on a small website that you have, hey, here's how to install this. Here's how to make your life easier. So all of these things bring you into your benefits, the benefits that the customer is getting out of using your product with your features and the functionality that you have built out, and that equals the value. So in this case, the value is really dollar signs, right? So it's willingness to pay. Someone is going to look at your product and say, yep, this is exactly what I want, exactly what I need. It's going to save me so much time, so much energy. Here, take my money. This is going to give them that value because they have seen the work and energy and effort that you've put into that. This is it for today. That was part 1 and part 2 of my 2-part series. We have pitch it and they will buy it.